What if I told you that behind the screams, solos, and stage lights, some of heavy metal's biggest icons were fighting another beast, nicotine addiction? These weren't just casual puffers. We're talking about artists who lit up between sets, in studios, and sometimes even on stage. Their smoking wasn't just a habit, it was a lifestyle that left scars on their health, vocals, and legacy. Now let's light up the truth about the 15 worst chain smokers in heavy metal history. 15. Lemmy Kilmister Motorhead. Lemmy Kilmister was the embodiment of the hard-living, chain-smoking rock star lifestyle. Known for his gravelly voice and relentless energy, Lemmy smoked, famously combining his cigarettes with whiskey and speed. He began smoking at the age of 11, and at the height of his career was reportedly consuming 2 packs of Marlboro Reds a day. Even on stage, Lemmy was rarely seen without a cigarette in hand. Despite health scares later in life, including diabetes and a hematoma, he only cut down his smoking habit to about a pack a week in his final years. Lemmy's addiction was legendary, and his refusal to quit smoking entirely was part of his defiant persona. His chain smoking was so ingrained it became as iconic as his bass playing, defining the gritty, no-holds-barred attitude of Motorhead's music and image until his death in 2015. 14. Ozzy Osbourne, Black Sabbath. Ozzy Osbourne, the Prince of Darkness, is notorious not only for his wild antics and vocal style, but also for his long-standing smoking addiction. Throughout his decades-long career, Ozzy's smoking was as constant as his love for booze and drugs. His heavy smoking habit contributed to serious health issues, including respiratory problems and a diagnosis of Parkinson's disease later in life. Despite these challenges, Ozzy continued to smoke for years, often lighting up on stage and in interviews. His voice, iconic yet raspy, was undoubtedly affected by years of chain smoking, but it never lost its signature haunting quality. Ozzy's smoking was part of his rock and roll image, one of excess and rebellion, and remains a defining aspect of his legendary persona. 13. James Hetfield, Metallica. James Hetfield, frontman of Metallica, was a heavy smoker throughout the band's formative years in the 1980s and 1990s. His smoking habit took a toll on his vocal cords, contributing to vocal strain and forcing the band to cancel shows at times. Hetfield's gritty voice, a hallmark of Metallica's thrash metal sound, was often accompanied by clouds of cigarette smoke during performances. Over time, Hetfield recognized the damage smoking was causing and eventually quit, improving his health and vocal stamina. His journey from heavy smoker to sobriety reflects the physical toll that chain smoking can have on metal vocalists, especially those who push their voices to the limit night after night. 12. Slash, Guns N' Roses. Slash, the legendary Guns N' Roses guitarist, is rarely seen without a cigarette dangling from his mouth, making smoking as iconic to his image as his top hat and Les Paul guitar. His chain-smoking habit was well known throughout the band's heyday in the late 80s and 90s, often contributing to his rough, bluesy tone and rock star mystique. Slash's smoking was part of the excess that defined the band's lifestyle, alongside heavy drinking and drug use. Though he has since cut back, Slash's smoking years left an indelible mark on his health and sound. His image as a chain-smoking guitarist became a symbol of rock and roll rebellion, influencing generations of musicians who equate cigarettes with attitude and grit. 11. Ronnie James Dio, Black Sabbath. Ronnie James Dio, revered for his powerful and operatic voice, was also a longtime chain smoker, a fact that surprised many given his vocal prowess. Dio's smoking habit was intense, yet his voice remained strong and commanding throughout his career. He often smoked on and off stage, a testament to the paradox of metal vocalists maintaining powerful voices despite habits known to damage the lungs and throat. Dio's smoking was part of the rock lifestyle, but it also raised questions about the toll such habits take on even the most talented singers. His ability to deliver soaring vocals while battling a heavy smoking habit remains a remarkable aspect of his legacy. 10. Dave Mustaine, Megadeth. Dave Mustaine, the fiery frontman and guitarist of Megadeth, was notorious for his heavy smoking habit that spanned much of his career. Whether rehearsing, recording, or performing live, Mustaine was often seen with a cigarette in hand, chain-smoking relentlessly. This habit contributed to the rough, gritty edge in his voice, perfectly complementing the aggressive thrash metal sound that Megadeth helped pioneer. Over the years, Mustaine's health began to suffer, particularly his throat, which led to multiple scares and forced him to confront the consequences of his lifestyle. In 2019, he was diagnosed with throat cancer, a wake-up call that prompted him to quit smoking and adopt healthier habits. His journey from a heavy smoker to a more health-conscious individual reflects the difficult balance many metal musicians face between maintaining their hard-living image and preserving their health. Despite these challenges, Mustaine continues to be a dominant force in metal, showing resilience and dedication to his craft. Number 9. Nikki Sixx, Mötley Crüe. Nikki Sixx, the notorious bassist and primary songwriter for Mötley Crüe, is as famous for his wild lifestyle as he is for his relentless cigarette habit. Throughout the band's heyday in the 80s and beyond, Sixx was rarely seen without a cigarette, often lighting up backstage, during rehearsals, or even on stage. His chain smoking was just one piece of a larger puzzle of addiction that included drugs and alcohol, all of which contributed to a tumultuous life marked by highs, lows, and near-death experiences. Despite numerous health scares, including a heroin overdose that nearly killed him, Sixx's smoking remained a constant companion. Over the years, he has been candid about his struggles with addiction and his efforts toward recovery, shedding light on the destructive habits many metal musicians endure. His story serves as a raw and honest look at the cost of living life on the edge in the rock world. 8. Axl Rose, Guns N' Roses. Axl Rose, the volatile and enigmatic frontman of Guns N' Roses, was known for his constant smoking, a habit that reportedly worsened his already strained vocal cords. Throughout the band's peak years, Rose's chain smoking was so intense that it contributed to vocal issues severe enough to force the band to cancel or postpone tours. His raspy, unique voice became a defining characteristic of Guns N' Roses' sound, but it came at a significant cost to his health. Axl's smoking was part of a broader pattern of self-destructive behavior that included drug use and erratic performances, adding to his unpredictable stage presence. Despite attempts to manage his health and vocal challenges, smoking remained a significant factor in his difficulties. His smoking habit, combined with his volatile personality, helped shape the tumultuous legacy of one of rock's most iconic frontmen. 7. Rob Zombie. Rob Zombie, the horror-inspired heavy metal and industrial music pioneer, has long been associated with a gritty, rebellious image that includes a heavy smoking habit. During his early career, both as the frontman of White Zombie and later as a solo artist, Zombie was frequently seen chain-smoking in interviews, behind the scenes, and even on stage. His smoking became part of the persona that perfectly complemented his dark, theatrical music and horror-themed visuals. Despite reinventing himself multiple times, venturing into filmmaking and maintaining a prolific music career, his cigarette habit remained a constant throughout the 90s and 2000s. The combination of relentless touring, recording, and heavy smoking likely took a toll on his health, though Zombie's energy and creativity never waned. His chain smoking became almost as iconic as his music, symbolizing the raw, unfiltered attitude that defines his work in both metal and horror culture. 6. Gene Simmons, Kiss. Gene Simmons, the legendary bassist and co-founder of Kiss, is as famous for his imposing stage persona as for his relentless work ethic. While Simmons has publicly denied struggles with drug and alcohol abuse, His chain-smoking habit, especially in the band's early years, was well documented. Throughout the 70s and 80s, Simmons was often seen with a cigarette in hand during performances, interviews, and backstage moments, embodying the tough, rebellious rock star image that Kiss projected. The smoking culture was deeply embedded in the rock scene at the time, and Simmons was no exception. Although he later advocated for healthier living and toned down some of his excesses, his early years of heavy smoking remain a significant part of his rock and roll legacy. His chain smoking helped define the band's raw and unapologetic attitude during their rise to superstardom. 5. Kerry King Slayer. Kerry King, the legendary guitarist of thrash metal pioneers Slayer, was known not only for his aggressive and blistering riffs, but also for his heavy smoking habit. King was often seen lighting up backstage and during breaks in high-energy shows, fueling his intense performances with cigarettes. His chain smoking was part of the raw, no-compromise attitude that defined Slayer's sound and image, adding to his rugged and intimidating persona. Despite the physical demands of thrash metal, King's smoking habit persisted for years, becoming as much a trademark as his spiked wristbands, tattoos, and signature beard. Over time, King has acknowledged the toll such habits take on health, but during Slayer's peak, his chain smoking was inseparable from his identity as one of metal's most relentless figures. 4. Marilyn Manson. Marilyn Manson's controversial image and theatrical performances often included smoking as a key element of his persona. Whether on stage, in interviews, or music videos, Manson was frequently seen with a cigarette, reinforcing his dark, rebellious aesthetic. His chain-smoking habit was part of a broader lifestyle of excess that defined his rise to fame in the 90s and early 2000s. Manson's raspy, haunting voice was undoubtedly affected by years of smoking, contributing to the eerie and unsettling tone of his music. Despite health concerns and the physical toll, Manson maintained his smoking habit as a symbol of defiance and artistic identity throughout much of his career. His cigarettes became almost a visual trademark, complementing his gothic, shock rock image. 3. Vince Neil, Mötley Crüe. Vince Neil, the volatile frontman of Mötley Crüe, had a smoking habit that added fuel to the fire of his already strained vocals. Known for his wild lifestyle and excesses, Neil's chain smoking was part of the rock and roll excess that characterized the band's 80s glam metal heyday. His voice, often raspy and raw, was affected by years of smoking, combined with heavy drinking and drug use. Neil's smoking was visible in countless live performances, backstage moments, and interviews, reinforcing his image as a hard-living rock star. Though he has made efforts to improve his health later in life, his chain-smoking years left a lasting impact on his vocal performance and persona, contributing to the signature sound that defined Mötley Crüe's rebellious spirit. 2. Zack Wild, Black Label Society. Ozzy Osbourne. Zack Wild, renowned for his aggressive guitar playing and rugged image, was a notorious smoker for many years. His chain-smoking habit was part of the tough, gritty persona he cultivated, both as Ozzy Osbourne's guitarist and as the leader of Black Label Society. Wild's smoking was often seen backstage, during recording sessions, and even on stage, contributing to his raw, blues-infused metal sound. Despite the well-known health risks, Wild's smoking was intertwined with his image of hard-living rock authenticity and rebellion. In recent years, he has spoken about cutting back on smoking, but his legacy as a chain smoker remains a notable part of his story, reflecting the rough edges that helped define his musical career. 1. Joey Jordison. Slipknot. Joey Jordison, the late legendary drummer of Slipknot, was known for his insane drumming skills and intense performances, but he also had a heavy smoking habit during the band's early years. Despite the extreme physical demands of Slipknot's high-energy shows, Jordison was often seen chain-smoking backstage and in interviews, surprising many given the stamina required to perform at such a relentless pace. His smoking habit was part of the rock and roll lifestyle he lived, balancing the rigors of touring and recording with the vices common in metal culture. Jordison's smoking years coincided with Slipknot's rise to fame, marking a period of intense creativity, personal struggle, and the development of one of metal's most influential drummers. Some of these legends shredded guitars and destroyed stages while slowly destroying themselves with every puff. Their talent was undeniable, but the smoke they lived in left behind more than just haze. It changed voices, ended tours, and in some cases, shortened lives. Were you shocked by anyone on this list? Which metal icon do you think paid the highest price for their smoking? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and ring that bell icon so you never miss the raw, untold truth behind music's loudest legends.